And a lot of halacha l'maisa tonight.
After that, I run out of people.
The Gemara is where we're up to. We are Chav Ral.
Just want to do the Mishnah.
Oh, it's not really. It's not that necessary. It's not connected so much to this Gemara. But where Rabbi Zero says it's right immediately in the middle of the blot of the Amud. We start came from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 lines from the top. Rabbi Zero Boy, right. Rabbi Zero Boy, and this is a very interesting question. This is, since you're a guest here tonight, you should know that this type of question is a classic question for the Yerushalmi. Type of question the Yerushalmi is about to ask. Okay, so you have a lucky evening to see a sample. Rabbi Zero Boy, Rabbi Zero asked, Elun Shlosha Kriyos, the three aliyos, the three kriyos literally we have, but here it means the three aliyos, Kohen, Levi, and Yisrael. Mat Avid Lon. How do you regard them? Kishlosha Shalchu Ka'achas, you regard it as a zimun, where all three people eat together. Or Kishlosha Shalchu Zevif Niatzu, or like three people who eat separately.
Well, what's these three kriyos?
The Kohen, Levi, and Yisrael, the three aliyos.
That's interesting.
The people are called to call to the Torah. They're called to come to the Torah. So, you're asking good. That's Yerushalmi.
It's a hyperlink.
Okay?
Huh?
That's
a hyperlink.
It's Yerushalmi's way of thinking. You'll find out. Says if you're going to say it's like three people ate together, so then it's like Birkas Hazimun, in that one person can be motzi the others. So therefore, Rishon Mevarach Bracha Rishona, the first one to make the get aliyah, he makes the first bracha, and he's motzi us with the first bracha. Ba'achar Mevarach Bracha Rishona, the last guy to get an aliyah, he makes the last bracha. And the person in the middle, Eino Mevarach Kolikar, he doesn't make a bracha at all. In other words, everybody's yotzi with the other people's brachas. The first guy is motzi all them with the bracha Rishona, and the last guy is motzi all them with the bracha Achrona, and the middle guy doesn't have to make any brachas whatsoever.
He just reads,
right. If we're going to make them three people who ate each one independently, even the middle guy makes a bracha before and after, because that means each one of them has to make their own brachas. They're independent of each other. They're not linked in any integral way, which is, of course, the way we do it nowadays, that each aliyah is separate and stands on its own. Now, again, plot thickens. Rav Shul bar Abduma said, Lomdu birchas Torah mi birchas hamazon. We learn birchas Torah, birchas hamazon. Actually, something Yerushalmi discussed in the Bab Kov Chesron Beis, that the only two brachas which the Torah itself mentions are birchas Torah and birchas hamazon. So we learn birchas Torah from birchas hamazon, and birchas hamazon, birchas Torah, and then he says the parameters are the same as birchas hamazon. El Rabim. It's just that Birchas Torah is always barabim. Zimun, sometimes you have zimun and sometimes you don't. You always got a bench. But Birchas Torah is always for the masses. So since it's always for the masses, so therefore Al Pi Din, it's like Birchas Zimun, and therefore each one does not have to make their own bracha. The first guy makes the first bracha, and the last guy makes the last bracha. And the truth is, where the three aliyahs, the middle one guy doesn't make a bracha. Where there's seven aliyahs, the middle five guys don't make a bracha.
What's with Birchas Torah, the Yochid?
Chapnish. It's Gemara's next question. So it says the Gemara. You looked ahead, right? So it says the Gemara, Im L'Rabim, Birchas Torah is only made for the masses. So afilu beina leveinatzma eina mevarich. So then, when you're if you're learning by yourself, you shouldn't make a bracha. So it says Yerushalmi, a very fascinating answer. This is a very fundamental answer. It requires a drum roll. Rabbi Abba said, you know what? Brother Rabbi Yossi, As'u kishar kol mitzvah shebatoicha. The truth is, the specific requirement to make a Birchas Torah only pertains to learning Torah in public. And public generally means 10 people, but I assume that's what it means here too. So it only pertains to making Torah Birchas Torah in public. says that the brachas Torah which you make before we learn in private, asu kashar kol mitzvah shebetorah, it's a chiv d'rabbanan like any other mitzvah in the Torah. Ma shar kol mitzvahs tunas bracha, just like all other mitzvahs require bracha. Avzu tuna bracha, so too learning requires a bracha. So it says the rest, even though we make the same bracha asher bracha rabbanan before we learn, as before we make an aliyah, it's two separate brachas altogether. The one bracha, the one chiyuv bracha is the bracha an aliyah. That's Gishem Hashem Ekra V'Godol Elokeinu. That's the bracha d'oraisa. And then, and it's Barabbin, Gishem Hashem Ekra Havu, the multiple, all of you, right? And then there's the bracha Torah for individuals, which is a separate bracha altogether. That but looks the same in certain respects, but it's not, and therefore it's only it's a birkas hayochid and birkas hamitzvahs like any other bracha asher kisham mitzvah v'tzivanu. That's why, in fact, when we make the birkas Torah b'yochid, we say asher kisham mitzvah v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, right? Because that is the birkas hamitzvahs, opposed to when you get an aliyah, and that's why conversely the birkas Torah in the morning. I'm making this up as I go along with it. I think it sounds good. The birkas Torah in the morning, we make in the morning. We only make prior brachas. There are no after brachas. As opposed to the bracha when you make when you get an aliyah, there's a bracha after you get an aliyah too, which is obviously not a birchas mitzvos. In order to connote that there's a difference between the birchas Torah as an aliyah bracha, birchas Torah as a mitzvah bracha.
Well, there'd be no after bracha because you're supposed to be learning all.
Well, let's say at night. When you finish learning, whatever you learn, yeah.
After
you say Shema, whatever, yeah.
Just we asking that the birchas Torah is d'oraisa.
No, he holds the Yerushalmi also birchas Torah is d'oraisa, but only birchas Torah which you make in laning.
No, but even the yochid is
that's the Bavli, and that's not necessarily at all clear, because the Gemara brachas in retrospect might well be talking about the birchas Torah which one makes in public, not about birchas Torah b'yochid.
But when we have a song,
all right, but in any event, right? It could be, but the Yerushalmi and Bavli can argue about that. That's not a kasha. Next,
but Rav Yosef says Asaua, gesagt nicht that's the halacha midoraisa, but Rabbanon
no. Asu means they're misakin it. I don't think so. When they made it. All right, but look, that's right. I don't think that's correct. I don't agree with you, but I certainly don't want to disabuse you of the notion. You're right. It's mashra from the Bavli that it's the Raisa. Rabbi Yonasan passed behind the base medrash. Shama kalun karye. You heard that they were laning. V'lo mevarchin, and they weren't making bracha. In other words, like it seemed from the previous Gemara, the middle aliyos don't have to make bracha. So he said no. Behind the base medrash, from front of the base medrash. Supersedure is the name for base medrash. So Shama Kul, and he heard their voices, Kiruye, they were laning, V'lo mevarchin, not making bracha. Or Malon, so he said to them, An mosaitem osim mesatzor karchos. How long are you going to leave bald spots in the Torah? Meaning that you should actually make a bracha on each and every aliyah, which is, of course, is our minhag today. Moshe Yiskin, as he saw, Moshe made a takon of a klai, so shiur b'Torah, they should learn Torah, to read the Torah, b'Shabbosos, on Shabbos, v'Yontif, and Rosh Chodoshim, v'chol Shemoed, and Chol Moed, Shneimar, as it says, v'Yidaber Moshe, Modei Hashem and Yisrael. Modei Hashem here means the times when we come together literally means times to come together, but here we say that it means that the concept of the various different specific requirements of the day he gave them, and the various different requirements of the day include laning requirements, even if it's even on Rosh Chodesh and Chol Hamoed. Moshe Rabbeinu was Musagin, those are all the requirements of Yontif as well. As a skinly saw, as a tacked on, he said shiur b'Torah, they should lane Torah also not just on Yom Tov and Moedim, but also b'Sheni v'Chamishi on Monday and Thursday, v'Shabbos and Mincha and Shabbos and Mincha. Who is skin tefillah b'alakeren? Ezra also made a takana to go to the mikveh for people who had emissions or had relations with their wives. Who is skin shiubate din yoshim yoros? He made a takana that court should sit in the villages b'sheni chamishi and Mondays and Thursdays. Who is skin? He made a takana shu rochlim mechazim bayoros that peddlers should go from city to city selling perfumes. Ninei k'vaydim shel bnos Yisrael, for the glory of the Jewish daughters, that they should have perfume. Who is skinny made takon shu mechabsim mechamishi, that one should do laundry on Thursday. And they covered a Shabbos because the honor of Shabbos, you should have clean clothes for Shabbos. Who is skinny made takon shu ofid pas v'arbe Shabbosos, that you should bake bread Friday morning actually. Shatei prusa mutzil in order that when poor people come, they should have plentiful food for Shabbos, since the Balabasta has baked bread that morning. Okay? Who is skin shuochlin shumble Shabbosos? He was one who made takana to eat garlic Friday nights, very famous takana. Shumachni sava, because garlic generates love. I guess the fragrance of garlic is a love tonic. Umoti taiva, and also it acts as to increase one's capacity to procreate. Who is skin shu anosh?
Lowest cholesterol.
Most cholesterol, right?
Friday night meal.
Who is skin shu anoshim medabra?
Girls have onion. That's not.
Yeah. I don't know. I assume that I don't recall if this is actually in the Bavli. My impression is that it is somewhere, but I forget where. Says Baba Kama. Okay, Baba Kama. That's where it is. Who is skin takana shu anoshim medabra zumzu beis haknesses? I'm sorry. He made that women should speak to each other in the bathroom, so that the men who come nearby, they used to have unisex bathrooms in the old days, so men who come nearby know there are women inside. Who is skin shatei chogeros b'sinor made that women should wear aprons, or according to the Mefarshim here, little underwear pants, both in front and in back. Why? Because of an occasion should occur, shiur which happened, because of Maisa which happened, Maisa Bisha, it was a Maisa which happened with a woman, Shabal Lakof, who was raped by an ape, Mikadarka from the front, Shalokadarka from the back. And therefore he made a takana that women should wear undergarments to prevent apes from raping them. Who is skin shetei isha chofefes v'sorekes? A woman may do or combing of the hair and cleaning of herself prior to going to the mikveh. Konta rasher shlosh yomim, up to 3 days before she has to go to the mikveh. Why is that? Rabbi Yosef b'shem deveis Rabbi Yanai and Rabbi Ba bar Kohen b'shem Rabbi Chuna said, Shabbos because sometimes Shabbos you have Shabbos and 2 days Yontif, so therefore she has to be able to start up to 3 days before, meaning on Erev Shabbos or Erev Yontif, depending on what came first. Rabbi Zerushem Rabbi said Vushik gives manali bova in a sign. He doesn't allow it if her time for toiling is fully at the end of the 3 days. In other words, if time for toiling is actually Saturday night, she can't toil before Yontif begins on Thursday afternoon, on Wednesday afternoon, before Yontif begins Thursday night. It's only if her tefillah comes out on either Thursday, Friday, or Shabbos.
Thursday, Friday night.
No, it can come out Shabbos. In the old days when the Zava went to the mikveh, if she saw blood, she could go to the mikveh during the day. So Zava is allowed. Zava Shomeres Yom Keneged Yom could go to the mikveh during the day.
So Shomer Yom Keneged Yom wouldn't know on Wednesday.
No, it depends how many days you see blood. Because you can see blood for anything up to 3 days and still not become Zava Gedolah. So she could she could see blood theoretically Thursday. And then
Friday, but not Wednesday. So Wednesday.
She wouldn't know Wednesday. That's true.
Thursday.
So yeah, she wouldn't know Wednesday. All right, so Taka only the way she has to go to the mikveh Thursday night or Friday night. You're right. So name it. So it says the Gemara. No, even if her time to go to the mikveh is Motzei Shabbos, she can also go to and start our preparations on Wednesday afternoon. Rabbi Zira Mistakabe, we had a similar Gemara 5 blot ago. Rabbi Zira looked strange in him. In another case, a few blot ago, Rabbi Zira, somebody said something in his presence. Rabbi Zira didn't like, So he looked at him funny, stared at him funny. So I'm going to say, Mat mistakabi, what are you looking at me for? Maya data, what do you know? V'lo know the neda that we don't know. Tavin, only you understand. V'lo manu, which is not with us. I am right. I have, I'll tell you. Asa Rabbi Yacha, Rabbi Shem, Rabbi Tanchum, Rabbi Chia.
What's the Maya data? What is
It's a quoting pasuk, saying, I know just as well as you do.
What?
Rabbi Zira was looking at him as if saying, what do you know? How come you can say this? In other words, what are you talking about? And he was retorting to him he was insulted. So he said, I know just as well as you do. And now he's going to explain what his reason is. And he says, for Rabbi Yaakov Shem Tanchum Rabbi Chia, for Amar time he said a reason. I feel like he is manali bo b'sof, even if her time to go on mikvah is at the very end of the time. Ani Omer, I say, she'll be allowed to make her separations early. Shema Mayana Rachel, because maybe now that her time to go to the Mayan, to the mikvah, is distant. Here, Mitzatzelis usually has a connotation of a negative thing, but here it's positive, means she'll take her time. In other words, if you make her go do all her preparations, go to the mikvah, Motzei Shabbos, so she's going to rush, right? So it's better to allow her to start making her preparations on Wednesday, 3 days before, because when she has plenty of time, and then it should be, it says there Ve'ena Torah, but I think it should be Ve'ena Truda. In other words, she's not preoccupied. When she's preoccupied, Motzei Shabbos, by the way, the Korban Eidah doesn't change the girsa, but he says something similar, but just easier if you change the girsa. But when she's preoccupied Motzei Shabbos, so then she's not going to do a good job. But if you give her enough days, so she'll be much more thorough, and that was better as far as the Gemara was concerned, to give her the longer time to be more thorough. Okay, v'rosh chodashim uv'chol shemoed and rosh chodesh chol hamoed current Arba, you read 4 people lane, the 4 aliyos. Ein poichsin mehem, no less. Ve'mosifin aleim, no more. Ve'maftir menavi, there's no maftir. Haposech v'choisim b'torah, but the person who begins the laning and who ends the laning, mevarich v'nei l'choreh, they both, according to this Mishnah, make brachas before and after. Rav Chuna Amar, Sholosh Kriya B'Torah, the 3 people are called to come to the Torah, La'ichatu me'asar psukim, they shouldn't do less than 10 psukim altogether. Okay? We have this back in Masechta Tainis. Chizki Amar, K'deneged Aser Sadibros, these 10 psukim correspond to Aser Sadibros. But didn't we learn that this is not brought down here fully, but Masechta Tainis brought down that the people who came for the Ma'amodos, meaning that they came actually to be in Yerushalayim and stand on the Korbanos, or in their cities they prayed at the time when the Korbanos being brought in Yerushalayim, so they length every day a portion of Ma'aser Bereishis. So it says the first day, V'atni b'yom rishon, you read Bereishis and V'hira Kia. V'aleit, the first 2 days, V'aleit b'on elatamnaya. There are only 8 psukim in those 2 days. So what do you do to make it 10? So Ravidi said he's following Khan Ravasi. It's Malchuchin Rav Khan and Ravasi. Chadamar one says Choser. You go back and you do 2 psukim over again. V'choron Amar Chotech. And the other one says he divided in half. Madamar Choser, again, he who says you go back, Choser Shnei Psukim, he says you go back 2 psukim. Madamar Choser, the one who says you cut, Vayir Vayivoker is a pasuk b'fnei atzmo. But it says Vayir Vayivoker, right? Yom Echad. Vayir Vayivoker, Yom Sheni. So you do Vayir Vayivoker, that's 1 pasuk. Yom Echad is the 2nd pasuk. Now, the way, how do you cut it up? What does it mean? Just make a pause. So the Shari Torah Eretz Yisrael says that you actually have the Maturgamon, the translator, get up in the middle. And that way, since he gets up in the middle and translates, so that's considered to be an interruption, and then the next words will be considered to be a pasuk in and of themselves. Okay? So it's an artificial device to split 8 psukim into 10. Okay? Now, says the Gemara, what are you going to do with the next one? Then we learn over there, B'Sheni, on the 2nd day you read Yehiraki, on the 2nd day, and Yikovo Mayim on the 3rd day. And that's only 8 psukim. Ma'adamar Choser, he who says you go back, I'm not sure if it's 1 day or 2 days you read. Mr. Zuger, on the table, 2 tables back, there's a Chumash. Can you reach in a Chumash, please? Bracious. That's it's an entire commentary. Thank you. So here it says.
Oh, it's okay. Good.
I don't know why it's only 8. 1 second. Oh, okay, that's why. Because it's only 7. You have Vayorm Elokim Yikir Kia B'Sochamayim, V'Askim Sarkia, Vayikra Elokim Lo Rakia Shamayim. That's the second day, right? And then you have another. That's 3 psukim. And then you have another. Oh no, you do have 8 psukim. So why can't you get 10? Oh, I see. I made a mistake. That's why we get 10. The way I made a mistake before, I apologize. And the way we do it the first day of the Maimon, is the first part. Vayir Vayboker Yom Echad is all one pasuk. The last pasuk in each of the first 2 days we cut in half. The first day is Vayikra Elokim Lo Or Yom L'Chosher Kar Laila Vayir Vayboker Yom Echad. So you separate Vayikra Elokim Lo Or Yom L'Chosher Kar Laila. Period. Vayir Vayboker Yom Echad. That's another pasuk. And then Yom Sheni, Vayikra Elokim Lo Kir Shemayim Vayir Vayboker Yom Sheni. We divide that in half. Vayikra Elokim Lo Kir Shemayim. Period. Vayir Vayboker Yom Sheni. They divide half. But the third day, the last pasuk, the third day is all one pasuk. Vayir Vayboker Yom Shlishi. You can't divide it in half. So it's kasha. If on the first day of the Maimon they read the first 2 days of the creation, so you can divide the last pasuk of each one in half. But in the second day Maimon they read the second day of creation and the third day of creation. So altogether 8 psukim. So one of them you can divide in half. The one at the end of the second day of creation, but one of the third day of creation you can't divide in half. So you're left with 9 psukim. You can't reach it up to 10. So if you hold chayzer, then you can be chayzer, right? Again. Mada Mar Choser, you can go back 5 months to the bottom. Choser go back, Choser B'Psukim, go back to Psukim. But Uman Damar, the opinion which holds Chaytech, Afilu Chaytech, even you cut in half Monday, ain't boy, you only have 9 Psukim because you can't cut in half Tuesday. Says the Gemara hates the Rabbi, period. There's no answer to that question. I mean, Yerushalmi just leaves it difficult. It's a good question. Hates the Rabbi Felipe. Rabbi Felipe, I guess he was a Spanish somewhere. Yeah. Rabbi Felipe.
Way before that era.
So Rabbi Felipe asked, Felipe Bar Pruta. If he was a baseball player making far more than a Pruta. So Rabbi Felipe Bar Pruta asked, coming Rabbi Yonah in front of Rabbi Yonah, Parshas Amalek, what about Parshas Amalek? There's only 9 psukim. We read it, right? The Vayivam Amalek Vayilochem Yisrael B'Refidim, the Kriya for Purim morning. It's only 9 psukim. How do we get away with that? So it says the Gemara Shani. That's the Sidur Shel Yom. Since that's the issue, the matter of the day. So therefore, even though it's only 9 psukim, that counts, and we give 3 psukim to each one. Hey, so Rabbi Lezer Bar Moram, Rabbi Lezer Moram asked about tiny. We learn Hamafti B'Navi, somebody who lanes the Haftorah. Lo Yibchos Mishlosh Me'esrim V'Echad Psukim, shouldn't read less than 21 psukim. Why less than 21? Corresponding to 7 people get Aliyah Shabbos morning. 7 times 3 is 21. Now, actually, at the end of the next halacha, we're going to see. Well, we're not makbid that bisman because in fact we have haftorahs which are far shorter than 21 psukim. But here it says it's supposed to have every haftorah is supposed to have 21 psukim, right? So it says the Gemara. I understand if you're going to hold that the ratio is not 3 people get 9 psukim, but 3 people get 10 psukim. So what actually should be the minimum shiur for haftorah?
23.
What? 23. That's right. Because in other words, the minimum shiur for Shabbos morning laning is going to be 10,
Yeah, but that's stuff
10, and 3.
That stuff can we have a minimum pashtas, but here when you have more than 3, then Yadalina is minimum.
Yeah, that's what I would have answered. The thing is, Yerushalmi doesn't give an answer, which is interesting. I would have said that when you have 7 aliyahs, you don't have to go up to 10 per every 3. But the Yerushalmi, for some reason, doesn't give that. Maybe because Yerushalmi felt it was so posh, it's not necessary to give the answer. It just says, view as there should be 23 plus plus Esrei, so 3 people get 10 psukim, plus so 3 people get 10 psukim, the Chad Shlosh 1, 3 psukim, so there should be 23 psukim in Haftarah. The Gemara doesn't answer. Okay? But I like your answer. I agree with you that it's actually the minimum share of laning is taka only 21, not 10 per every 3, but that's only if you have 3 exact oilim, but not if you have 7 oilim. Zaklau, kol sheyesh bo musaf, any day which has musaf, any yontif, but it's not a yontif. You know any days like that? A day which has musaf, but is not a yontif. Rosh Chodesh and Chol Hamoed. Rosh Chodesh, actually, just Rosh Chodesh. Kol sheyesh bo musaf, ve'eno. No, Rosh Chodesh and Chol Hamoed. They have musaf and they're not yontif. Korner Boy, read 4 psukim. B'yontif, if it's an actual yontif, chamisha 4 psukim, 4 aliyahs. B'yontif chamisha 5 aliyahs, b'yontif shisha 6 aliyahs. B'Shabbos on Shabbos Shiva 7 aliyahs. Ain't puksim, and you cannot detract from these. Most evenly, but unlike the 3, like 3 and 4. If you have on Yontif or Yom Kippur or Shabbos, you can add on as many as you want. Umaftir Manavi say a maftir after from a Navi, and we have this previously the person begins and ends laning. Each one makes a bracha, one before and one after. Okay, B'Yom Kippurim Shisha, the Yom Kippur we make 6 psukim, 6 aliyos. Why 6 aliyos? Is Tani Shiva. The truth is, there's another opinion which holds you make 7 aliyahs. Madam Ashisha said he makes 6 aliyahs, Mibni had tefillah because of davening. I saw a very nice pshat in the Meichal Mayim from the Aruch HaShulchan. He says the pshat is that there's 6 tefillahs on Yom Kippur where we're misvada. Mincha, Ma'ariv, Shacharis, Musaf, Mincha, Ne'ilah. So corresponding to that they made 6 aliyahs. And that's fine the amount of davening to Shach Yom Kippur. Madam Ashiva, he who said that you can make 7 aliyahs Yom Kippur, Kohada Shabbos, Kohada Tani, like that which you learn. B'Shabbos Mimarin Lava, on Shabbos you come early in the morning. Let's say so you leave early in the morning too from davening. It's the best way to do it. Beyond, because you can't make any preparations, so you might as well leave early. Come early to shul. What? No, you can't make achonis for lunch. You come late to shul because you're all making lunch because ochel nefesh is mutter. Let's say so you leave quickly because you want to go eat. Okay, it's interesting. People are not so. The shuls are not so machmir nowadays to start yontif late. Do you know the shuls machmir to start yontif davening later? If anything, people start yontif davening earlier.
They start at 10 on yontif. And on Shabbos they start at 9:15.
Well, the reason why we don't start late is because we don't want to do like that. Because Mishnah Berurah says, even though it says to start late in the morning, but we don't want to miss my Kriya Shema. That's why we don't start later.
They start at 9:15.
Exactly, it's not Kriya Shema either. Zman Tefillah at least. All right.
But we started at 8 instead of 7:30.
I was saying on Shabbos.
No.
Here it says on Shabbos it's supposed to start earlier than Yontif.
Shabbos also supposed to start later.
Later, but not as late as Yontif. Okay? So in any event, it says more, it's not such a big chomer to be machmer. I mean, it's not so, not to be mahar in this mitzvah. Alright, B'Yom Kippur, Memarin Lavo, you come early more because...
I think the only reason here is the shtickle, you can't daven any quicker than you daven, but it's a shtickle hour to the abonim, not to give a shmuz or...
No, either rabbi, you'll see it's mechuyev. No, you can't say chas v'sholom. B'Yom Kippur, Memarin Lavo, Machrin, let's say, on Yom Kippur, you come early, you leave late because there's a lot to daven. Period. New topic. Going back to our Mishnah. There's a halacha, of course, that we have on the books that you're matargim, right? Well, actually, that's not what we're talking about here yet. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. Haluzos means people who are foreigners, who can't read Hebrew properly. Lo nagu, they didn't have the custom like our Mishnah. Rather, they have the custom like we do nowadays. Even though you have 7 people get aliyahs, one person lays the entire parsha. Okay? Echad is a parsha, Koreh is a kula. If one guy knows the parsha, he reads the entire parsha. Shiva Yodim Shlosha Psukim. Now 3 people know each 3 psukim. 7 people know each 3 psukim. Kulun Korin. They all read, which is an interesting thing. Which means basically that you can get away with the landing Shabbos morning 21 psukim. Our minhag is to read a whole parsha, right? But the minimum requirement is 21 psukim, like we said before the Mishnah. So therefore, 7 people know 3 psukim each. So then you make a laning, even though you don't know the entire parsha. Because if you have no Baal Koreh in shul that morning, you can get up to 21. So you make the 21, and you don't have to go all the way to the entire parsha, which is a big chiddush. Okay. Now, even bigger chiddush. There's one guy in shul. Nobody knows anything. Everybody's in Amort. But there's one guy who knows 3 psukim. Right? So what do you do? Kari v'chazer v'kari. You read the same thing 7 times over again.
Oh.
Isn't that amazing? Okay. So that's really because it's a takana to lane. It's nice to lane the entire parsha, but if you don't people lane the entire parsha, then you lane whatever you can, even if it's the same 3 psukim over and over and over again.
Obviously, we don't pass this way.
I know we don't pass it this way. I didn't look it up. Mistama we do. We just since we have a separate mitzvah to always be mashlim parshas, so therefore we try to get somebody who knows how to lane. I don't know. In the pinch, we probably would pass it like this. Chol morning in Eretz Yisrael on Sukkot, the same person reads the same thing. Also Hanukkah. We read different days, but they read the same thing over again, so we see it's not a problem. Okay? Says Gemara, Rabbi Zir b'shem Rabbi Yirmiyah said, Eved ola minyan shiva. Oh, an Eved counts as part of the 7. In the Bible it says a woman counts part of the 7. Same halachic parameter, because the mitzvah says shazman groma issue. So if a woman can do it, an Eved can as well.
What, to be in a kruim?
To be one of the oilim. Not one of the minyan, for one of the oilim. Right, they can get an aliyah. We don't do it nowadays, but
you have a minyan anyway. What do you want to be over?
Because she knows make the brachos. Maybe one of the men doesn't. I don't know. Vaydaber olam mishloshim psukim. Now, Vaydaber, it says Vaydaber Hashem.
Everything is more miskabel because everything is not.
Yeah, but they say the Mefarshim say it's the same thing. Vaydaber olam mishloshim psukim. Vaydaber counts as one of the same 3 psukim. Now, going back to Eved, Amrei Charba Ukra Shem Rabbi Yossi Bar B'Chanina Asul Lam Lo Chen Amrei Charba Baruch B'Shem Rabbi Yossi B'Chanina Asul Lam They say Avla Torah. How can I have an Eved get aliyah? He's not allowed to learn Torah. His mom is like a woman, not allowed to learn, right? So I can learn Torah. So Rabbi Chelba, well, actually it's even worse because Torah speaks Savi is not allowed to learn. So it says, "What he put the Shlom at Me'elav." Either he learned on his own, or Shalim do Rabbi Katavi, or his Rebbe told him like Tavi. Tavi was a famous servant of Rabbi Gamliel. So he was particularly of a holy person, kosher v'yasher. So therefore he was permitted to be taught because of his high stature.
Go back to Avinu.
Oh, Tavi?
No.
Oh, Eliezer tell you about it. Sorry. Yeah, good point. Rabbi Chavar and Master and Shmuel Bashilas B'Shem Rab said, Shiva, the 7 guys will get Elias Chutz Min HaMaftir. Maftir is separate. Hey, sir, B'Chinei Bar Pazi, Ben Pazi, B'Chinei Chan Pazi asked the Kasha. Oh, period. This is a new thing. Sorry. Hey, sir, B'Chinei Ben Pazi asked it on our Mishnah. But Tzanina, didn't we learn? HaMaftir Minavi Lo Yivchos Mi-Yisrim V'Echad P'Sukim. There's a shiur which I told you about before. We have haftarahs which are much less than 21 psukim. I don't know if the haftarahs here are separate, but there's one in Vayikra which is 14 psukim. Haloki Nekushim. Which haftarah is that? That your bar mitzvah parsha? You got away with that. So Achrei Mos is it 14 Taka? Do you remember?
It's the shortest one. I don't know.
So short, I can't find it.
Maybe it's the Kadosh.
It's not there yet.
It's
Here it's Halokim Nekushim. Yeah, it's 15 psukim. No, less. No. It's even less than that. No, it's 9 psukim, the law of Torah. It starts in Pasuk Zayin and ends in Pasuk Tesvav. That's 7 to 15. 8 psukim. So, 8 psukim, and Kedoshim's Haftorah is not much longer. It's 16 psukim. Kedoshim is twice as long, but actually it looks shorter on the page. So name it. The kasha is how can you have Haftorahs which less than 20 psukim? We just got through saying it's a takona only. You have to have 20 psukim. So here too, it says, who Amarai? He said, in other words, he asked a question about my time and explained it. B'shein shel turgaman. That's only if davening is a brief, because there's no translation going on, no translation of psukim interspersed. But if there's a turgaman, then should be korim. The Leiden manuscript has korim shlosha. All you need for Haftorah is 3 psukim. You don't need to have 20 psukim. Only 3. Where did he go 3
psukim?
In Haftorah.
That's it?
Yeah, because the turgamans, you need to teach Torah, right? So if you're teaching Targum anyway, so you don't have to teach so much Haftorah.
Only psukim.
Psukim. We do more, but that's the bottom line. Now it says, he said, they also read 3 psukim, and there are no turgaman. There's no turgaman. Somehow we know there was no turgaman. They weren't translating. It says more Malays. They said, Rabbi Yochanan turgaman. Rabbi Yochanan saying, where's the turgaman? He darshaned. That's why a Rav has to give a drasha. You want a short Haftorah? You have to have a Rav give a drasha. Because he gives a drasha, so then you're allowed to be makatzer in the Haftorah. Okay? Now, the next Mishnah is very, very much halacha l'maisa. It's actually the Gemara after Mishnah. Very much halacha l'maisa in our shul in Bnei Ruvain. Ein person al shma. One cannot say Kaddish and Baruch Hu after Yishtabach. That's called Porson Shema. One cannot say Chazar Shatz. That's right. One cannot Duchen. One cannot Lane. Maftir cannot say the Maftir. One cannot make on the way to the Beis HaKvaros when they're burying a mace. They used to have to 7 times the Avelim sit down and stand up as a sign of respect for the dead. We cannot say the Birkas Avelim. We don't say anymore to Birkas Hamazon, probably Birkas Avelim. V'chasanim, that we do say that Shev Brachos. Ve'imazamim Hamazon, we can't make a Birkas Hazimun on food at the end, b'shem, and use the name Elokeinu. Unless you have 10 people assembled. Because when you have to redeem land, real estate, which is made hekdesh, need Tisha v'Kohen, and you need 9 people plus a Kohen, 10 altogether. And when you have a person who's makdish his value to Beis HaMikdash Kayotze B'hem, also need 9 people and at least 1 Kohen. Okay? Says when we came into Tnina, Porsim Mesar Shema, ain't Porsim Shema, Porsim Mesar. Once I know that Kaddish and Baruch Hu, after Yishtabach, you can't say unless you have 10. Light at me, Latnina, why do I need you to tell me the rest of the stuff? Ain't everything at Teva, Porsim Mesar. That you don't have to, that you can't do Chazor Shatz unless you have, if you have less than 10. So it says, the Gemara, Chein Tzricha, we need for this. Kadad the Tani, like this, we would learn, ain't person Shema Porsim Mesar, you cannot do Kaddish and Baruch Hu less than 10. But he's Chilu Ba'asara. If when they started they had 10, for Hochel and Miksasam, and some of them left the room, do we have experience with this? Geimer, you can finish that part. But this part you started. That's what the Chiddush Mishnah is davening segmented. In other words, if you started coming... What? Yeah. If you started Kaddish and Baruch Hu and somebody left in the middle, you can finish Kaddish and Baruch Hu. You can't say Chazar Sashatz. That's a second thing. That's a...
So you can finish Kriya Shema and...
The Kaddish and Baruch Hu after Yishtabach. Kriya Shema anyway, you can say. If you started the Chatzi Kaddish and Baruch Hu after, that's Porson of Shema. If you started Chatzi Kaddish and Baruch Hu with 10, and somebody left before you said Baruch Hu, you can say Baruch Hu anyway.
So if you started Chazal Sashat.
That's all. If you started with 10, and then some of them left out, Hilchulem Miksasan, Gomer you can finish. Ain't no Sivus Kapen, you can't duchen with Paul's Misolas dead people. It's Chulubas their 10 people who started duchening, Vyatzulen, they left. We love to Miksasan, Gomer you can complete. Ain't Gomer but Torah Pachos Mesara. He's Chulubas Sar Vyatzuma and Miksasan. You finish Gomer, you can finish Laning. Ain't Maftir Minov, you can't say Haftorah Pachos Mesara. He's Chulubas Sar Vyatzuma Miksasan Gomer. You can continue. For all the people left, it says V'oiz ve'Hashem yichlu, those who leave God shall
That's
be
not God,
destroyed.
It's 10, not if there's more.
You start with 10.
Huh?
Start with 10 and one left.
But I was saying if it's 10, what is this, 15 and one left?
Well, it's partially continue, yeah.
Based on
No, it's not a problem. Oh, you mean he's not cursed, the guy who leaves. Yeah, the Korbanei says explicitly. Korbanei, right where the lines get medium, he says.
As long as he leaves,
if he leaves 10 people, he's okay.
Yeah, but he shouldn't leave.
Right, he has to leave Ben Gavra Gavra, but yeah, that's okay. Says one further. Ain't osim Maimon Moshav. What is a Maimon Moshav? Maimon Moshav is on the way to the cemetery. They say 7 times, Im du Yikorim, stand precious ones, and Shvu Yikorim, then sit down, precious ones. Really should be the other way, sit down and then stand up. Shiur Pavim 7 times, so you can't do that. It says Yikorim, you only say if there are 10 people present. Enemy Birls Avei Chasanim. You cannot say Birls Avei Chasanim less than 10. The next word Ve'ein is a typo. The manuscript and the Leiden manuscript says Tani. We learned Enemy Birls Chasanim Kol Shiva. Say Sherbros all 7 days. Now Rabbi Yirmiyah misunderstood that. He said Savar Mei Marita Mafkin Kalsa. We roll out the Kala Kol Shiva all 7 days. In other words, it's not. He didn't understand it's connected to a meal. So if you say Yerushalmi Kol Shiva means any time of day we call the cow and say, hey Sprinter, come here, we want to make Sheva brachas, right? So it says more Amalei Abiyah, we said no. But then we learn Rabbi Chia says Yerushalmi Kol Shiva. Yerushalmi is also 7 days. Ma'aslem, what do you say? Mafkin Mesa Kol Shiva? They roll out the dead body all 7 days? Obviously not, right? So what is the parameter of Birchas Avelim? So Ma'ikadun, what are the parameters? Makan, just like by Birchas Chasanim Misamechimo, it's when you rejoice with the Chasan Kal, meaning at times of meals. Afkan, so too, the Birchas Avelim is Menachimo, when you're consoling with him. What's the time of consoling during benching? Nakamas Kirin, just like here you mentioned, Afkamas Kirin, so you mentioned in benching, it's not a din the rest of the day. East tiny to those who said, Ein Avelim only min a minyan. You need 10 people for Avelim, the Avelim don't count as part of the minyan. East tiny those who learned, Avelim only min a minyan, they're part of the minyan. Ravina said, Mandamar, Ein Avelim only min a minyan. You said Avelim not part of the minyan for benching by Birchas Avelim. But Aveli also makes it the people who are being misabel on that specific mace. They have to be consoled. They cannot be part of the body which consoles, part of the meaning which is coming technically to consult them. Right? Man Damar, and he says only min minyan that they do come Aveli mace acheres. If you have Avelim or sitting shiv and somebody else, they can come and participate Birchas Avelim for this mace over here in order to make up a minyan. Okay? Tai Shmuel, we learned Shmuel said, in Kiddush HaChodesh, Shabbos morning say Kiddush HaChodesh, Elba, so I need 10 people. You can't say Kiddush HaChodesh at home. Rabbi Asher Rabbi Yochanan said, how we know this name, Arkan Eidah? It says here, Eidah, it says, by Kiddush HaChodesh, it says, Eidah, Dabrel, Adas, B'nai Yisrael. And it says also here, by case of Nemar Kaneido, Nemar says later on, Ad Moshe Le'edo Ra'azos, says now this week's parsha, in Shlach, how long you're going to join with this bad congregation? It's about the 10 Meraglim. Ma'eda Amura Lahalan, by the Meraglim, the bad ones were 10, Asara. Afkan, so to the Eidah, with for these brands which we discussed before, is also Asara, right? It's 10 as well.
What is Kiddush HaChodesh be'Asara?
I assume it's Shabbos morning.
Shabbos morning, Shabbos Volchim.
That's Kiddush HaChodesh.
Kiddush HaChodesh was Bisman Shabbos Mikdash HaKayam, and they used to be Mikdash HaChodesh.
No, but I think you actually only need 3.
Maybe Kamashonov and the 9. Well, you know, that's all. Because that's not Kiddush HaChodesh. Maybe they said Kiddush HaChodesh.
I don't know, maybe you're right. Maybe it's when there was a Beis HaMikdash and it's about the actual Kiddush of the day.
It's a Kiddush.
Yeah.
Because I would think that either you need Beis Din Agodel or you need Shlosh.
No, but Bnei Moshe says you need 3 to do it. We need 10 people to be mefarsim it. 10 people cause the publicity for it. I think he's right. So Kiddush HaChodesh on Rosh Chodesh, when they still did a Piriyah, based on signing, and the 3 people could do it, but you needed 10 people as like an audience to publicize it was taking place. Okay? I'm assuming it says a different drasha for the 10. Nemar Khan Toch, it says here Toch B'nai Yisrael, B'nai Mahal, and it says later on, so that's by Avol B'nai Yisrael, Lishbar B'Toch HaBoim. B'nai Yisrael came, the B'nai Yisrael, the children of Yaakov, came to get food among those who came. Matoch Shnemar Lahal Nasar, just like the Toch it says, laid by Bnei Yaakov who came from Mitzrayim were 10. Avkan Asar here to its 10. You know what? I'm thinking about this now. I want to change the gear so here. Instead of Kiddush HaChodesh, I want to say it's Kedusha. That Kedusha requires 10. Because before we didn't speak about Kedusha. And it makes sense to say Kedusha because the Psukim bringing V'nikdashti b'soch b'nei Yisrael Daber Kodas Yisrael V'amartalem Kedoshim Tiyu, and it says V'nikdashti b'soch b'nei Yisrael Psukim, which have to do with Kiddush HaChodesh, but rather with Kedusha in general, Kiddush Hashem. So therefore I would say that it's talking about Kedusha itself. Kiddush HaChodesh is probably a typo. Either it's talking about Kedusha or about Kaddish. But that Kedusha or Kaddish, whatever process to be Mekadosh Hashem, in davening, that requires Kedusha.
A whole word over here.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's for Yerushalmi. That's.
You do that often.
Yeah. When you come to Yerushalmi, you get used to that. Okay. Says Gemara, Amalei Rabbi Yossi, B'Ribun Imitoch At Lomeid. If you're learning from the word mitoch, the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel came b'soch haboim, among those the other people who came to Egypt. So sagininu, many people came down to Egypt to get food. El nemar kam Bnei Yisrael. So rather learn it like this. It says Bnei Yisrael over here. V'nemar am Bnei Yisrael. It says Bnei Yisrael. Or actually learn from the word Yisrael. It says V'nikdashti b'soch b'nei Yisrael, and it says over here b'soch b'nei Yisrael, b'nei Yisrael boy Mitzrayim, the b'nei Yisrael came to Egypt. Mahal and Basar, just like over there, it's 10 Jews. Avkan Sotir, by for Kedusha, the halacha is 10 Jews as well. Where's Shivim? No, it's now. This is when they came to get food. Not when they came down as an entire nation, when they came to get food. Okay, Keneged Asar V'Karkos Yishuv V'Koyin. That was fun while it lasted. V'Karkos Yishuv V'Koyin. By Karkos, 9 people and a Koyin. So why 10 people? So Keneged Asar Koyin in Parsha. The Parsha talks about redeeming Hekdeshos and evaluating them. It says Kohen 10 times. So that's the case you Kulam Kohanim. That's how we call them Kohanim. Ribu yacha ribu l'mayit. There are multiple inclusions, so each one is an exclusion. So that's the case. You chum Yisrael, let them all be Jews. And a parsha, it's a kohen. Come on, the parsha says kohen. You're going to say they're all regular Jews. At least one of them has to be a kohen. It says more abkedun. Until now, I understand that you need 10 people. If you consecrated a field, they need 10 people to redeem it from hekdesh. Ahmad Mesa the Yalai. What if you said, let the value of my field be incumbent upon me to bring this hikdesh? What's the status then? You also need 10 people. Let's hear from here. Erkin and Metalflin. Values which can be carried, B'shlosha requires 3 dayanim. What do you mean, values can be carried? There's values which cannot be carried. You're paying cash to the base of Mikdash. Of course it can be carried. Cash and carry. So Rabbi Yaakov Baracha b'shem Barabba b'shem Marchina said, what it means is, somebody who says, I want to give my value to the base of Mikdash, and he's broke. He doesn't have money to give, he doesn't have enough money. So we put him on like the IRS does, I forget what it's called. You know, when you owe back taxes and they put you on a special plan and pay back. There's a special word for that. What?
Installment?
Yeah, but it's more so. In other words, they leave you with enough to live.
Yeah.
But you do have to give everything else to the IRS. I know it's called, but you get the idea, right?
Barrel plan.
So, no, here it's the same. So here's the same idea. That if you don't have enough money to pay Erchin now, so they leave you enough to live on. That's called Misadri. We fix him up.
They garner.
Your garnish, I was thinking. I don't know if that's it either. But anyway, so we leave enough to live on, and that's it, right? So now, if we're taking his lands away from him, Minakarka, Shami Lo Basar, you need 10 people to evaluate. Minataltim, if we're taking away his movable objects from him, Shami Lo Bashlosha, we need 3 people to evaluate. Now, the Shai Torah so puts in here, when you become richer, if you're richer, then everything based, it's a sliding scale. The richer you are, the more you have to pay. Somebody says my value should be upon me. He's not like the person who said, this is a kash, I'm sorry. So if somebody says that my value be upon me, is he not like somebody says, let the value of my field be upon me? And therefore, so he, just like this requires 10, if it's the karkos, so too if he says, the value of my field is upon me, it also requires 10 because that's to the karkos. Where a person says, not that he wants to, not that he wants to give his value to Ektish, but rather he wants to give $100 to Ektish. So in this case, Shemal Shlosh, you reckon it by 3, and it should be Shiashir ain't on the best of God. If he's rich, it's no sliding scale. He said $100. There's no sliding scale for him. So therefore, he has to give whatever he actually needs over the course of time to make up $100. Time we learned Avodim Ushvachos Metaltlin, various different slaves and movable objects. In Migeres Bikoris, there is no public tender offer. Migeres Bikoris. What is an Migeres Bikoris? Literally a letter of visitation. A pronouncement, the tender offer that people should come and bid for this property in order to pay back hektish what's owed hektish. Why? By avodim is no tender offer, so they shouldn't run away when they know they're being sold. Stars and metaltlin, documents and movable objects is no achrozer, shlo, so people shouldn't steal them. Right, but Krambiosa Lesa Damra does not tell us that Shabodi Nivdim Bishlosha. Does not tell us that slaves could be redeemed with 3 people. You don't need 10. Amalei said yes. That's what it tells us. Amalei, so he said Vatina. Then we learn over karkos by real estate, and our bodim always like real estate. Tisha the Kohen. You need to have 9 people plus the Kohen. Vana Ketzvem and redemption. I'm sorry. It's questions from the Sefer from Adam. It says Vana Ketzvem for the redemption of a human being also requires 10 people, right? Not 3. So he says, no, Adam Dahachir, the person which is mentioned in Mishnah, is the Ben Choy, is a free man who has devoted his value to the Beis HaMikdash. It's not talking about an Eben is not that stature. China Bar Shalom Yishem Rav said, As Uvda Kumai Rebbe, an episode I have in front of Rebbe, Uva Miyabi Kum Rabbanan. And what do like Rabbanan? This really has nothing to do with Megillah. Not that it was previous stuff did. Right. But sorry about that, which it says that, in Gemara in Ksulis it says that if the Dayanim evaluated the value of real estate which must be sold for some purpose in order to pay off the debt of the owner, so then if they were off by more than a 6 or less than a 6, then the sale is null and void. You have to make a reasonably accurate estimate, right? Okay, so this came from the Rebbe. But one says it's even make a reasonably accurate estimate, so the sale is null and void. He said no. Didn't you teach us b'shemus kinech in the in the name of your elders? Here the carbon A changed gears instead of Elin Kain also gears because to in Kain Makoch based in Yofe. Because you're neg on the deal, so it makes space and look like they originally were inept. So because they also he regular deal, and even though it was off by a large margin, he left it the way it was and did not cancel it. He just said pay back the difference, not canceling the sale altogether. Okay, we'll stop here for this evening.